Hey fishing friends, JC here with Rad Reeling Fishing. Today I'm going to be doing some maintenance on the Penn Pursuit 2 reels that I have. I have two 6000 series reels and also a 4000 series reel. And I like these reels, man. I get them from Walmart. They come with a 90-day return policy. Can't go wrong with that. And anyway, I had one of these reels for probably 6, 7, 8 years, the 6000 series. And man, that thing just caught a ton of fish, big fish, a lot of snook. And I decided to replace it recently because I was just fishing so much making all these videos. But you know, if you've seen this Big Baits for Big Fish, this big jack that I caught, that was on one of these 6000 reels. I caught a 42-inch snook on one of these 6000 reels. Caught a lot of snook on these Penn Pursuit reels and a lot of fish on these Penn Pursuit reels. But anyway, today we're going to do some maintenance on these reels. And you know, if you saw my video recently of the sheep's head video with my new 4000 reel, I'd had it like 2 months. And I was having issues with the drag. I couldn't get it to work. I hooked into this big sheep head. I'm like, come on, man. It was sticking. So I took it back to Walmart, got it replaced. Well, here I am fishing with my 6000 series reel that I bought about 6 or 7 months ago. And I started having like tight drag issues on this the other day. And so I went online and I found a video. A guy actually tears down the Penn Pursuit 2 6000 all the way down, puts it all back together. He is a professional like reel repair guy. So I contacted him. He said it's probably the felt washer system. Those things have to be oiled and they get dry and they stick to the metal washers and it causes the drag to kind of stick and not work the way that it's supposed to. So this video is actually, I'm gonna actually tear that down, and I'm gonna put a link in the description area to this guy's video because he's the real professional. Now, he doesn't actually oil the felt washers, but he shows you how to tear it down. Exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to pull all this stuff apart. But one of the things that I noticed when I was taking the spool off of one of my 6000 reels, and I think it was this one right here, I had a terrible time getting the spool off of the shaft. I pulled and I pried and I pulled and I pried and I pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled. And that thing was just like hard to get off there, and I finally got it off, and I thought, you know, this shouldn't be this way. So I took my other two reels and I pulled the spools off, and one of them pulled off kind of tight and the other one pulled off really easy. And so I contacted the reel repair guy, and he said, take all the washers, you know, the drag washers out of that spool and see if the spool slides on and off the shaft without any issues. So I did that, and the spool was still hard to slide onto the shaft. So then I kind of figured, well, it's a spool problem and not a washer problem. And so what I decided to do then is I actually contacted him. I said, hey, is it okay to sand the shaft down? Because I saw somebody else's video online where they Penn Fierce or Penn Battle or something, and they sanded the shaft down because they were having drag issues. And this reel repair guy, he said, yeah, he said that would be his last resort to sand that shaft, but he would do it with steel wool. Well, I thought, you know, steel wool is just going to take forever. I mean, I did cabinet work for years. I know how long it takes. So I got out some 100 grit sandpaper, and I had some 800 very fine wet sanding paper, and I sanded this thing down with a little bit of 100, and then I'd work it down with the 800 and a little bit of 100 and work it down with the 800, and I just kept working a little at a time and trying to get that spool to go on there. And you can see now that thing just slides right on there the way that it's supposed to. But before, yeah, you had to really, really, really push it to get it to click into place. Something wasn't right there, and so what I did is I actually slightly sanded down the shaft on my other reel where it was a little bit tight, but it was still sliding on. So now they all slide on fine. So yeah, if you're having that issue, you can do that with the shaft, and that'll probably take care of it. Just make sure it's not the washers, like that guy told me to do. And all right, so let's get on with this video where I pull all these drag washers out, get things cleaned up, get them oiled up, and put back together again. All of my reels are working great, man. Catching the heck out of fish and having a good time. Let's get to it. All right, so I got my other Penn Pursuit 6000 out. The first one, I should have just taken time to tie a rubber band onto the braid line and then just wrap it up on the spool, you know, and let the rubber band hold it on there, because it has a tendency, it wants to come off when you're working on the reel, and then it gets all oily and all that. So I think if I can get it to wrap around there, There we go. There. That'll just help hold the line out of the way. All right, now I'm going to see if I can get this spool off of this reel any easier than the other Penn Pursuit. It's kind of nice having 3 Penn Pursuits. You know, if you have the same issues with each reel, then you know, well, maybe they're just defects. Now look, see, that one popped right off, no problem. The other one, I wrestled and wrestled and wrestled to get that spool off of there. And yeah, this one popped right off. The other one's a little bit easier now. So, all right. Well, I am going to pop this little keeper ring right here. It actually turned out to be a whole lot easier to get in and out than I thought it would be. Just get a screwdriver under there and just pop that little ring out, and it really just pushes back in. I was concerned about how hard it was going to be. You know how some of these little keeper rings can be, but it actually turned out to be pretty easy. And I don't know, maybe you could just, you know, like bang them around like that, and look at that, all the washers come out over there. And then this was the bottom one, so I'll just, you know, I'll just take and put them in order that they're supposed to be now, so I get them back in the way that they came out. And yeah, I can kind of feel like these felt washers are a little bit dry, so I see what that guy's talking about. These guys have to be greased up good. This one goes on first. So the felt first, metal, felt. Yeah, it's felt, metal that has the square size, felt, metal that has the tabs, felt, metal that has the square sides, felt, metal that has the tabs, felt, metal that has the square sides on it. Stuff out. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that there was just like a little bit of sandy grime kind of built up in some of these grooves in here, even though it's sealed with all these different washers. And so I'm going to take some time here and get these cleaned up, get them back in there. And I think what's going to happen is this is just going to become just like regular reel maintenance for me, because you know, I'm just like, I wouldn't say that I'm abusive with my spinning gear, but you know, when I get busy fishing and stuff and the fish are biting, I mean, I'll just take my rod and reel and just set it down in the sand and start rigging up a new leader and tying on hooks and hooking on pinfish so I can get back out there and fish while the bite is on. I think it's always good to have some Q-tips around whenever you know, for doing reel maintenance. And I use these things all the time to get different things cleaned up in my with my fishing gear. They work really good for getting down. Like, there's a nice little crack and crease there where these washers actually have little nubs on them where they slide into those grooves on the spool. So yeah, a little bit of sand built up in there. So, you know, this is just the way things go whenever you're out doing shore fishing. And yeah, you just tend to get sand and grime and stuff like that in your reels if you're not in a boat all the time. And you know, saltwater fishing too, you get that buildup from the salt crusting. I forget what that oxidation or whatever. So yeah, that's what's going on here. Yeah, so I don't really know. I don't claim to be a professional in doing this, but I kept these things in order, and it had a felt washer down on the bottom first. So I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on there, get that thing oiled up. That's what the man said. You gotta keep those felt washers oiled. So a little oil on there and get that back in there. Probably doesn't take much. A little bit tricky here. I just want to make sure you don't tear that thing, I'm sure. And it just pops back in there. And these guys are all cleaned up. And yeah, it looks like there's going to be a certain, actually, see how those things are, they got a flat side, so it's going to be important that these guys get put on the correct way. And I think what I need to do is actually, I'm going to have to put this spool back on the shaft because these have got flat sides on them before I get carried away here. So I need to slide that on there and then put the washers back on so they get lined up properly. All right, got her back together, and yeah, that's sounding pretty good. It's working good, man. All right, guys. Well, I didn't really use anything fancy for cleaning up those parts and washers. You're just regular old rubbing alcohol. This stuff dries really fast. There wasn't like a lot of grease and grime. I just, or actually a lot of grime. I just had to clean them up really good. And of course I used Q-tips and some of this Penn Precision Reel Oil. I don't know, it's pretty reasonably priced on Amazon. And yeah, my reels are got a little maintenance done on them. They're ready to go catch some more big jacks and snooks. So hey, thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, man. I upload videos all the time, and it's important you guys click that bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload new videos. And anyway, get out there and go fishing, man. Lots of fish out there waiting for you to come catch them. You know, life is definitely worth living. So hey, live it. See ya.